Ladies and gentlemen, speech is power, speech is to persuade, to convert, and to compel.
And that's why we're here to debate on Kenya's #1 debate platform that gives high school students an opportunity to air out their ideologies the best way they can through debate. This is the semi-final of Nandi County. I am your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperantia Kakapanga. Today's motion is the minimum legal age should be lowered to 16 years.
In the proposition are the gentlemen from Kapsabet Boys High School who are our defending champions for Season 8 nationally.
In the opposition, we have Samoei Boys High School. Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes to make your statement.
Walt Disney says that age doesn't define maturity because growing old is mandatory, but growing up is optional. Well, yes, we are young only once, but immaturity can last a lifetime. Kogo Victor Simwa from Kapsabet High School here to propose this motion that the minimum legal age should be lowered to 16 years. Minimum. What is minimum? Well, minimum is the lowest possible level. Lowest possible level. And what is legal age? Legal age is the age at which a person is legally allowed to participate in adult activities and becomes responsible for his or her affairs. Well, we have various legal ages. We have legal age for working, legal age for voting, legal age for consent of sex. We also have legal age for drinking alcohol. What is to lower? To lower is to make something go down. To make something go down. So why should we lower the minimum legal age to 16 years? Why? Well, according to a report by Amanda Hayes in the Slate magazine, dated November 18th, 2013, Professor John Ashton, the president of the UK faculty of Public Health, says that lowering the age of consent will empower teachers and other supervising adults to provide sexual health education to young students. Well, latest figures show that up to a third of teenagers engage in sexual activity before their 16th birthday. Dangerous. A third of teenagers engage in sexual activities before their 16th birthday. Well, I want in agreement to a 3-judge bench, which according to capitalfm.com, when reversing a 15-year sentence to a man who impregnated a 17-year-old, they say that it is unrealistic to assume that teenagers do not engage in sex. When we lower this age, we enable the teachers, we enable the adults to be at a position to freely talk about such things because they are talking to adults. They are talking to adults. I want us to think about redirecting our energies. When we lower the age of consent, when we lower the legal age to 16 years, we are redirecting energy to the right place. Currently, we have 16-year-olds who, after completing high school, instead of laying their hands on anything, they cannot join university because they cannot have HELB loan. They cannot get employment because they are underage. Instead, what are they doing? Double tapping. In the morning, double tapping. In the evening, double tapping. Let us remember that maturity has nothing to do with the number of birthdays we celebrate, but the experiences you have. Thank you.
First opposer, you have 3 minutes to make your submissions.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. From Samoei Boys High School, it is Kipkorir Collins here to oppose the motion that says the legal age should be reduced to 16 years. I'm very surprised that my dear proposer, the first proposer was proposing the motion, and the proposer was saying that is supporting the motion, and the proposer is saying that a third of people under the age of 16 are engaging in sex. I thought you want the age to be reduced to 16, yet you are supporting us and saying that a third are engaging in sex. How and why? You also said something about maturity and growing up. Once somebody is 16 years of age, yes, he's not fully grown. Yes, the brain, you cannot compare the brain of a 16-year-old to that of an 18-year-old. There is a 2-year difference, and that is a very great difference. I am very surprised. And if I think according to their direction, a number of reactions take place in my mind. The reactions are so reactive. The reactions are so reactive that they have to take place in a reaction chamber. And when I think about it too much, there is a formation of a colorless liquids around. There's formation of a colorless liquid around the cooler parts of the container. That is sweat I'm talking about. And when the gases evolved were tested, it turned blue litmus paper to red, meaning that the thoughts are very acidic and very dangerous. It's very dangerous to let 16-year-olds to start making decisions as the adults we know in our life today, the 18-year-old people. I was in Amok when my cousin, he just turned 16. He came home drunk. And this is what my cousin was saying. I am 16 years of age, and now I have high maturity and high academic level. He also said, I am the same as someone who is 18 years because there's a difference of only 2 years. If we act as, he also said, I'm a 16-year-old and I think I'm grown enough and I can act as an adult and we should be treated as adults. He also said, I am now smart enough and I can make decisions on my own. Let us look at each point one by one. The first point, he said that I am now 16 years of age and I have a high academic level. This is a lie. The academic level he attained was only middle school and high school. He had not gone to the university. We cannot say that he had attained the maximum maturity level. He also said that I am the same as somebody who is 18 years. It's just a matter of 2 years to get to 18 years. But that is not good enough. People who are 18 years, I think in a better way than people who are 16 years. Therefore, the age should remain the same and 18 should be our target. And that was my point. And I rest my case. Thank you very much.
The second proposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
My name is Johnson Aboge from Kapsabet High School. Perhaps I should tell the first opposer, you've told us a lot of chemistry, but allow me to take you through the legal aspect of this motion. The reason why we want to lower the legal age has been fairly constituted by the person who spoke before me, Kogo. On November 27th, 2018, one of the best legal brains in this country, Justice Jesse Lesit, among the judges of the Court of Appeal, proposed to the nation that we need to change and lower the age of consent in our nation. Have you asked yourself why these legal brains had to make these propositions? One of the reasons which they cited was because our jails are teeming with people who have been convicted due to defilement. The case which was talked about by Justice Jesse Lesit was about a man who had impregnated a 17-year-old girl. If you look at the story very well, the man was above 18 years, but the girl had consented to whatever happened. But the consent of the girl was held immaterial in the court of law because the girl was below the age. So instead of congesting our prisons like they are congested today, why don't we just lower the legal age? Because we do not need to pretend that these things are not happening. They are happening, and that's why we need to accommodate the society, because if it's talking to the society, we have done that. Another thing is that when the legal age is lowered, It will make the youth to be more responsible, because lowering the legal age means that you've also lowered the age for criminal responsibility. A young man or a young woman of 16 to 18 years will know that when he or she does something wrong, then he or she is culpable to be tried before a court of law and not before a juvenile court. So that will make them to be much more responsible. We do not forget that this is also going to be a blessing in disguise. Because when you lower the legal age, you lower the drinking age and the age to use drugs. Only recently on the June 1st, we saw our Cabinet Secretary for Treasury. He was releasing the budget for the fiscal year of 2019 and 2020. And he introduced a new tax which was dubbed the sin tax. Tax on betting, tax on cigarettes, tax on alcohol, and all those other things that appertain to what they consider as moral sin in the country. Now, when the government taxes these products which will be used, because they now have legalized these ages of 16 to 18 to use these ones, will the government be getting revenue? I believe they will be getting revenue. And that's the basic reason why it will come as an advantage to our economy, because we'll have gotten more than enough money just from even gambling alone. Because as we speak to you today, the nation is going to suffer very much when we don't lower the legal age, because we still retain the same behaviors in our society, but converting more people and filling our jails and building more prisons instead of fighting and completing the Big Four agenda. Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
An eye for an eye makes the world blind, is what the great philosopher Mahatma Gandhi once told us. I am very astonished with the second proposer when he stated about early pregnancies. And this is the question I want to pose to the proposition house, is that by lowering the age, that means that you do support early pregnancy, which is a vice and not a virtue that we cannot entertain. My name is Emmanuel Kipchumba from Samoei Boys High School, strongly opposing the motion that states the minimum legal age should not be lowered to 16 years. The legal age should be maintained the way it is. That is because a child of 16 years is not mature enough. That is when we base it on the decision making. You cannot compare the decision making of a child with 16 years and the decision making of a child with 18 years, because the one with 18 years has more experience and is mature enough compared to the 16 years children. Secondly is that it leads to an increase in the number of school dropouts. That is because if the minimum legal age will be lowered to 16 years, the children who are 16 years will always have the confidence that if they are adults, and I want to take in this basis that those children who are in 16 years are not mature enough, as I said in my earlier point. That means that they will always have a sense of being as if they are adults, and they will lack respect to their parents, which is something that we cannot legalize. So instead of lowering the age to 16 years, let us maintain the 18 years. Thirdly is that it leads to addiction. You cannot compare the brain of a 16 years old and the brain of an 18-year-old. That is because the moment an 18-year-old knows, because when you base on the advancement of technology, there are very many things that the 18-year-old are accepted, but the 16-year-old are not accepted. So that gives an upper hand to the 18-year-old. I hope I'm not hitting on a rock. And if by mistake I am, I'm very sure that it will open up because I am using a diamond hammer. I rest my case.
The proposers have been asked, is it more important to tax the purchase of drugs, or is it more important to safeguard the outcome of the lives of our youth? The opposers, on the other hand, have been asked, we do know that there are 18-year-olds, even older, who are irresponsible. What do they have to say about those? Third proposer, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Thank you, Michael, for that nice question. But I would like to answer by saying this. Yes, the youth are just as important, but consider the fact that the government will use this money to come up with new projects and jobs that will keep the youth busy. That will keep the youth busy and help in enhancing the jobs and the projects. Thus, they will not have time to engage in such destructive behavior. On to my points. I would like to refer to this point. At a youthful age, the youth have a fresh mind and they are able to think big. I would like to give the example of Bill Gates, who at this time is worth $92.8. He started his first company when he was 16 years old. What do you have to say about that? I would also like to mention about the joining of organizations that allow the members to be above the legal age. Consider LeBron James. LeBron James is a famous basketball player for the Los Angeles Lakers NBA. He joined the Cavaliers when he was 16 years old in the year 2000. So when we lower the legal age, it will actually give a floor and it will actually give room for these young people to enhance their abilities and talents. Entrepreneurship. At an early age, coming up with good ideas, the youth will be able to come up with new inventions that will propel the business world. This referring to SDG number 8, decent work and economic growth. I would like to refer to a Latin saying, cogito ergo sum, which in its translation to English refers to, I think, therefore I am. What do you think this refers to? I believe that when the youth legal age is lowered, it will help them in understanding more what it entails. For there is a saying that with all power given, there is responsibility. So I believe that with all the power and the freedom that the youth are being given, they need to understand very well their responsibility. Thank you, Ezra Mogambi, Kapsabet Boys High School.
Third opposer, you have 3 minutes to respond to your question.
Opposing the motion, minimum legal age should be lowered to 16 years, is Edwin Kimutai from Samoei Boys High School. Okay, beckoning on the question that my fellow debater has posted that, yes, in the age of 18, we have irresponsible actions or behaviors that are being practiced. So, what do I think about it? You know, when you are in that age, 18, you already own an ID, but given that you want to lower it to 16, you'll give right to the ones in 18 years. What do I mean by that? You'll get that the number of people who practice these wrong, irresponsible behaviors or things will grow. So, it should never happen that the age should be lowered to 16 years. Adding to the prawns of my fellow opposers is that lowering the minimum age to 16 will bring an early introduction to drug abuse. You know, take for example, a child is going home at the age of 16, still in school with that passion that he has already attained the age of getting an ID. So you get that most of the drugs have been rated not under the age of 18 should take them. So I get home, I'm drunk, I have already come from the bar, but I'm still 16, approximately Form 2. The other point is banning of schools. You get that even in the age of 18, we have children who ban schools. What if then that age is taken to 16? Would there be a lot of cases of that banning schools? So I don't get the point whereby I have to insist so much on this motion, while quite frankly we know that the minimum age should never be lowered to 16 years. Thank you, and I rest my case.
Proposition, you have 1 minute for your final submission.
This is a slippery tree that we should climb with caution. And we should ask ourselves, like Chinua Achebe in the book Things Fall Apart asks himself, that what is hurting the toad that it will jump at midday? Or what is wrong with the bat that it will fly during the day and not during the night? Why does Kenya want to lower the minimum legal age to 16? It is because the countries which we view as countries of accomplishment, they have the same age. If you look at countries like Belgium, a country like the United Kingdom and Spain, all European countries, and you look at their morality and our morality with our 18 years age of legality, you find that our morality in terms of unwanted pregnancies, we have it more than them, yet their legal age is 16 years. You'll also find that we do not mean that by legalizing this, by putting the legal age to be 16, we are forcing the youth to do what appertains to adulthood. But it is only adjusting an arbitrary figure. Thank you.
Poses, you have 1 minute for your final submission.
Emmanuel Kipchumba from Samoei Boys once again opposing the motion. My dear colleague from the proposition side, that is the second proposer, stated a statement about a slippery tree. And a question I would like to pose is that, do you think 18 years is, of climbing the tree, do you think that 18 years is enough? You see, in logistics, when I grow up, I will want to spend more time with my kids. And in the farm, the more time you spend in the farm, the better your crops will grow. I will not want to see a generation that is lost. I will not want to see a generation that is perverted. I will not want to see a lost generation. That is, if we want not to attain or not to go to the cons of lowering the age of 18 years, then we will have to oppose strongly this motion and do not lower the age from 18 to 16. We have lost more lives due to the 16 years bracket, and we cannot manage to lose those lives again. Thank you. I rest my case.
Kapsabet High School, Kogo. That was a very wonderful start. You laid a strong foundation. What was impressive was the issue of you taking note of the issue that legal age is different from legal consent. You went ahead to mention examples of legal age. Your submissions were very convincing. That was very good. And after you had laid that foundation, I was looking forward to the other speakers who were coming in to build on the issue of legal age, but somehow they leaned more towards the issue of legal consent. Nevertheless, their arguments were good. They were well articulated. Aboge is so eloquent, factual, knowledgeable, except for what I've already mentioned. You just leaned specifically on legal consent and not legal age. Ezra, the way you responded to the question, that was a fair response in my own judgment. How I wish you could have built on what Aboge had talked, because when I relate the question with what he had said earlier, he talked about this issue of taxes being a blessing in disguise. If you had captured that in your answer and the explanation he gave, your answer could have been strong, but generally good presentation, confident, eloquent, and congratulations.
To the other team, Collins, you are not a cross-examiner. So when you spend half your time cross-examining, you leave Emmanuel with nothing to do. All right? So understand the roles. Yours is to come and give your submissions. Then you give an example about the brain development of a 16-year-old versus an 18-year-old. No research you quoted, so there were no sources. Such claims need to be backed with evidence. And that's basically scientific evidence. Good stories though, and a bit of the submissions. Emmanuel, good cross-examination and part of the submissions that you gave. However, the cross-examination on the end of what Aboge said, that was no. Edwin, you struggled on that answer. I don't know, you didn't really compose those particular thoughts. Then you're left with 40 seconds. So it tells us you didn't have much to say. All the best.
To our debaters on stage, regardless of the judges' percentages, as we like to say it here on the Great Debaters Contest, we have no losers. We only have winners and learners. With that being said, Samoei Boys High School, the judges awarded you 69%. Let's give them a round of applause. Kapsabet Boys High School, our Season 8 defending champions, the judges awarded you 72%. Let's give them a round of applause. Congratulations to Kapsabet Boys High School for being the greater debater in this semi-final.
Thank you, viewer at home, for staying with us. The debate is over here, but the conversation still goes on across all our social media platforms. The hashtag is GDC for SDGs. I have been your host, Esperanza Kapanga.
And until the next episode, I am Chris Boru. Stay tuned.